in the 70s, the government and us broadly were building too much and harming a lot of the climate, environment, people in all these different ways. And so we added a massive amount of regulation and a massive amount of lawyers and a massive amount of process. And now we're on the far opposite end of that, where we can get nothing built and everybody is suffering. Presumably we land somewhere in the middle. And the only way I see to do that is to deregulate, that we have to peel back a ton of these different things. I think CICA probably needs to be repealed. I love the environment. I don't want the environment to die, but when that law is being used countless times to stop any development in California, which it can do and is used for constantly, we can't have that. There can't be all these processes. When you see the story of the bridge that got burned down and we were able to rebuild it in 2 weeks, is it like, is it really worth trying to make sure every single person on earth is happy with what we're doing if it means nothing gets built? And can we just can we just build things? And the only way I see to do that is deregulating, which makes me even sadder about Doge, because Doge is something that should be good, which is like, let's make an effort as a country to deregulate and to eliminate a lot of the process that has just built up over the decades. And instead he's doing it in the most abrasive and unlikable way, even though obviously I like it because I love everything about Elon Musk and I'm but it's like, I really think that's sad because, like, man, dude, if Trump and Elon weren't being so antagonistic and focusing on like, oh, we need to eliminate woke contracts and all this shit. Like, this should be a bipartisan issue. We should be pushing to like we should build more stuff, and we aren't. And I don't see any world out of that other than we got to really fucking remove regulations. I'm curious what you guys think.
I want to say, I think one interesting argument he made, and your word brought it up there, I think people are going to have this instant reaction. I want to bring it up, is especially in politics, especially because we're so polarized. There's words that have become, you call them trigger words, or words that have become so powerful that it conjures up some images in your mind that you can't really think about them. Deregulation is one of those words. It's one of those words that people aren't able to look at rationally. Really, a regulation is just a rule. Some rules are bad. We need to figure out the right rules, right? That's, I think, what we're saying. But when people hear, especially on the left, they hear deregulation, they think of a guy pouring toxic waste into the river next to it. I mean, that's the first image that comes to mind. So you really have to, and I think he's doing a good job with it. I think it's what the power part of this book is, like getting people to understand that just because it's a regulation doesn't mean it is necessarily a good thing. We have to find the good ones and get rid of the bad ones.
Yeah, I mean, the first thought that I had was around that comes to my mind is not necessarily the environmental regulations, but the idea of reducing regulation means like unfettered like spending and like private companies like making decisions rather than and like private corporate interests being at the wheel of things. Like that's what pops into my head. But it doesn't have to, I think that's the important part. It's like, it doesn't have to come with that. I thought a really important section of the book was when he was talking about the efficiency of government agencies and talking about how so many things within these agencies, because of like not only the rules they have to comply with, but like the funding behind those agencies, they outsource those things to private companies. So like a common thing is an agency might bring on a company like Deloitte to do a bunch of stuff. And these agencies don't have a lot of, the way he broke it down was really nice, is like the capacity of the agencies need to be strengthened. And that means in some cases there needs to be cuts, and in some cases there needs to be growth. The agency and the people within the agency need to be empowered to execute rather than outsourcing to like more private companies that bog down the process, or being subservient to more of the government institutions around them that make them check off a bunch of boxes that also inhibit the process. He talked a lot about basically state capacity to execute the things.
Yeah, I understand the incentive. If you're a government agency and you outsource to Deloitte, Deloitte's incentive is to make this shit take as long as possible and to bill you for as many hours as possible and to overcharge you as much as possible. Because
which is why it's psychotic, if I may, that one of the big criticisms I have of Doge, criticisms of Doge, is that they're not cutting defense spending at all. Number one,
can't cut that. Can't cut that.
What are you, communist?
It's like the number one industry where this gets abused, where the nuts and bolts of like some privately made Raytheon thing cost $200 per bolt. because defense contractors can get away with anything they want. And it's a massive part of our spending. It's like, what, 19% of like all spending?
Yeah.
And that's weirdly untouched. I notice.
Let me steal, man. The idea is that they will work to that. So I'm not sure if I believe it, but in theory, the process of Doge is going to be start with the really aggressively egregious stuff, which is like, we funded this choir in Colombia.
It's what a load. I'll say, I'm just going to come out and say this. What a load of shit. Why would you not start with the thing that has the most, it is the most impactful thing on the budget every year? Why would you not start with that? Why would you even, I think you did the math on this, I want to say. I've seen other people do the math on this. If you cut every government like agency and employee, if you fired everybody, you took away all the government spending that does not have to do with Medicare, defense, our interest payments, and Social Security, it makes like no impact. It has almost zero impact.
Yeah.
So you need, if you actually want to accomplish this goal, you have to attack. It's like, presumably we all want to keep Medicare and Social Security. At least most of us do. Like that, I think there are a few people in positions of power that have started talking about cutting that. But in general, like no person really wants those things to be cut. The interest payments
you can't cut.
we can't cut. We have no choice. So the next thing you can go to is defense, an industry rife with this, rife with abuse for multiple reasons.
Yes,
and I think it's like so frustrating that
it's
not starting
dumb.
there.
That's I'm baffled by it. It's like how they decided what we should start with is by going after essentially ideological battles, right? Which is here's every potentially woke. They're trying to turn the mice trans or whatever because they're doing tests about estrogen or whatever. And it's like, that doesn't fucking matter. Like go for these like large scale fraud or the military, whatever. And so I totally agree. And it's like, I hope that Doge succeeds because I think this is an effort that is important, which is to reduce the amount of waste in the government, that reduce the, right? Obviously these are good things and it sucks that they have made it so ideological. Like, why are you doing that? This, man,
I mean, this is, I mean, I think when you lay it out, right, it's like, if we were to come back to like basically the root of this discussion, which is like building more in America so that more people have housing, which is something that everyone should have access to. And like, no one should have to live out in the street. It's like, that is a basic thing. And I'm hoping you're right in what you brought up, is like, if we talk about that more, this should be something really simple and straightforward that we can agree on. Something like very base to
very
everyone's
based,
like core based.
Two quick follow-up points while you're bringing up that thing. One, I just want to reiterate that for me, the reason I am so passionate about this stuff is because I want everybody to have a better life. And I see building as so critical to that, not only on a long scale of making our day-to-day, like our livelihoods, of inventing cures to medicines and making people's lives, giving more opportunity to people, but also just housing and how clearly important that is. And I just get incredibly frustrated at all the efforts to stop it. And so that's part of it. And then also I just want to reiterate what you said, which is that to me, deregulation does not mean let private companies come in and like fuck over the little guy, right? But at this point, it seems that every process in so many different parts of our government,
really fucking smart about the rules,
right? And
really,
it's give people
it's more
agency, right?
It's more dynamic than that. I think something interesting to think about is I don't know if we could go back to old man Lee Kuan Yew. You know, if you were to work in public service, basically, if you're to be the equivalent of like an agency worker or a politician in somewhere like Singapore, my understanding is that's like a very sought after, like well compensated job. Right. Like kind of the equivalent, and people can correct me on this if I'm wrong. This is what my understanding is it's kind of like the equivalent of like going to become like a lawyer or a doctor. Like it's just a career that is like lauded in that way. And like getting into a position like that and being someone who's like attacking the issues, it's like, it's very valued among your peers to like be the person to step up and do that. I think that's just something, I don't know, interesting to think about.
Yeah, to back up what I was saying, and then all this last thing, like just talking about to give some specifics about the amount of agencies and parties who are all trying to put their hands in these projects and all having an influence and all having a say, and the unbelievable amount of slowdown and cost that adds. So this is from Roll and Salzman from the book. So the problem with these laws that we have is that they're indiscriminate. It's as easy to obstruct an oil refinery as a wind farm. So you have the National Environmental Policy Act. You have the Endangered Species Act, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, the Marine Mammal Protection Act, the Coastal Zone Management Act, the Clean Water Act, the Federal Land Policy and Management Act, and the National Forest Management Act. There are over 60 federal permitting programs that operate in the infrastructural approval regime. And they then list how they're trying to build a wind farm in Wyoming, which is clean energy, which we need to solve the climate crisis. Currently, it's set to release to be finished in 2026, which is 18 years after it was proposed. 18 years. So it's like, all right, if you care about climate,
good win takes time, Doug.
Can't fucking go at this pace. The planet is going to burn if we burn
the
it.
best windmills.
Windmills.
God, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's great that every single migratory bird got a hearing, and like I love birds, but like, do we need to in every single project like allow these people have agency? And sometimes that means we're like certain groups aren't going to be fully represented and have everything they want, and that sucks. But you have to make trade-offs because otherwise nothing happens. Gah!
Even in the villain chair, Doug loves birds.
Ah!
He never lets that go. That's what I love about Doug.
Okay. Do you know how many birds I would kill for that wind farm? I kill a lot of birds.
Everyone he shoots, a regulation goes away.
So you brought this up.
Okay, I want to bring this up because while I agree with pretty much everything you said, to be honest, I think we talked about this before even this book came out because we saw that think piece by Ezra a while back.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's many rules that have not done what they're intended. The age-old apocryphal story is like in the British Raj India, they made a rule to ban cobras. And they said, if you bring us a cobra skull, because they want to kill all the cobras, if you bring us a cobra skull, we'll pay you some money. We're going to kill all the cobras. People started breeding the cobras because there was money in it. Like rules are doing the opposite of what they were intended to. Even if they have good intentions, they're against them. I just want to say, I think there's a tendency to hear this speech and be like, well, I'm pretty interested in Doge. And I just want to say that I have been so deeply disappointed with Doge on every level. And I have, at this point, no hope or goodwill towards it when I look what's actually happened and what cuts have actually been. And so much the chaos it's induced and the actual cuts that have been. Now, this purple line here is our current budget deficit so far this year. It is bigger than it was in 21, in 2020, in...
Isn't 2020 is the dark blue one?
2020 is the black one. It's the one that spikes up there in the halfway through the year.
I see.
But so far in this year, so you see the purple one on the top, we're in February. We are above all the previous years. We are currently spending more than any year of Biden or Trump. Trump won.
But I don't understand. We canceled the $7 million contract.
It was not even a rounding error. We are spending more money, and this is before the new $5 trillion tax cut comes in. So this deficit is going to balloon. It is going to balloon. It's
hold on. Dude, those tax cuts are continuing tax cuts. That won't balloon it more, right?
New. The continuing tax cuts are already baked into the pie. That's already assumed to be okay.
More tax cuts.
This is announced today. I mean, this is like 3 hours ago. I don't even know, but there's a $5 trillion new bill from the House that is a $5 trillion tax cut over the next 10 years that is going to balloon this deficit. And it will make up for 10x of whatever Doge is even possibly cut. We are nowhere close to getting even to 5 years ago level of budget, which is already bad. We are not on track to financial prudence at all, under Doge or not. And so I am personally sick and tired of people who I thought I agreed with. Like there's sometimes conservatives be like, I agree with balanced budgets. I agree with getting control of the national debt. And then when they get into the power, they don't do any of that. So I'm sick of, again, people on the left overregulating, but I'm also sick of people saying they want to get this stuff in order and doing nothing substantial or any real cuts. I guess I'm frustrated with politicians.
Yes. This whole Doge thing is like, God, it was one of the most unique opportunities. No politician is incentivized to cut budgets ever, right? They're solely incentivized to get more money for their constituents. And this is one of the rare cases where you had a president, Donald Trump, who got elected, who was saying he's going to balance the budget, and then set up Doge and gave it this ridiculous amount of access to whatever it wanted. This is on paper should be the best chance for this to work. And they're fucking it up. And it's like, God, man, I want it to work. I hope it works. But I agree right now. I'm it's just all ideological and doesn't seem to be doing anything substantial. And that's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But at least Tesla stock is up. So let's go. You know why it's up? Because tariffs and coincidentally, Teslas are made in America. So, you know.
I did see that.
You sold all yours. So that's
It's
No,
up.
unironically, I'm like, shit, shouldn't have sold all the.
I wouldn't say it's up for when
I still don't
you know,
really believe in the long-term value of the stock, but you know.
if a stock is $100 and drops 90% and then rises 90%, it's now at $19. Okay, so it's up a couple percent, but it's down. I mean, it's
oh,
down.
it's down overall.
I
see
stopped
what you
listening
know.
after.